Oh! Oh my god! Okay, so that was our first test fire. Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Elathrix, and of course, welcome back to the designer mode, where today we're going to be working on our sub and hopefully making it a lot closer to its final form. At the moment, we are already in quite a high difficulty setting, and that is going to be increasing every episode, of course, and a lot of the mechanics of this craft are currently, to say subpar, I think would be very generous, especially when it comes to this front section with all the missiles. Because it's been built in stages, there's gaps everywhere, the armor isn't done correctly, there's some material storage there for like no reason other than I needed to quickly add some. It needs to be just completely gutted and redone. So all at the front here, I'm probably just going to chop off and recreate from scratch. On top of this, I do want a new weapon system, and, which may be the most difficult, I do want to add an actual AI to the craft. You can probably already tell, but there has been an update to the game, and one of the things is a really nice new cinematic mode, which you can't use manual fire weapons during the use of it. It looks really cool, it just lets you follow a craft and go around it, and it's all just very nice, but it will be impossible if I can't let this thing fly by itself, swim by itself, kill things by itself. So, let's get to work. First of all, removing a whole chunk of the craft. Just remembered I could have just removed this using the prefab mode, but this is more satisfying, to be perfectly honest. Now, the AI, at least what passes... Oh, look at that, that's just dreadful. Yeah, you can tell this front section was the original section because it's been built in layers and not very well. Now we have all the resources, I can just build from scratch, it's going to be so much better. Oh, a single Hesh shell would just crush this. We've been surviving by being underwater. Okay, I'm just kind of throwing stuff together to get basic dimensions. I'll come back and try and make this a bit more uniform later. Heavy armor core there with some stone inside for EMP protection. That is currently holding all of our stuff to control our altitude, our pitch and our roll. So it's all the automated things, along with the control blocks which allow me to change my altitude. If all of these are destroyed, I don't instantly lose a fight, so it shouldn't have that much resource dedicated to its defense, but this should be enough, and honestly, I can always co-op this base for the AI later. So that's what we're doing there. I am also tempted to add a particle cannon to the front, so that could run along from here, down the centre, like a spinally mounted one, and then we'd have loads of space on the side to put other systems like missiles, and then the middle would be armoured up by itself. Yeah, maybe, we'll see. Where's the particle cannon? Just one of the default ones, so I can just get a gist of this. Definitely won't use this one, but you get the idea. It's like that, but a fair bit bigger, and that will be one of our main weapons. Against other subs, especially. I mean, it's almost graceful. So like this, essentially. Oh, it's so silly. It is so silly. And it wouldn't even be difficult to do, it really wouldn't. We just have to get what the extension is, and then we can set this up to change to this at any time. Oh, that would be so easy. And it would fix the problem. It would fix the problem, it really would. And god, the Tetris on this thing isn't exactly great either. Funnily enough, I've learnt a lot through this run. I don't know what it is, but I've just started to learn properly. So yeah, I don't know what to do there. Either we remove the turret so I can start building properly, or we do something just stupid like this, or we make them spinally mounted, so that they're always static and don't need all the extra stuff. It's the barrel as well, though, but I need the barrel for the accuracy. That's why it's so intense. I am really an impasse here. I'm going to continue work on the front and think to myself what I want to do here. But we could do that. I mean, it is still making a vulnerability, because now we have both the turret itself inside the craft, and we have this piston block, which needs to be really far down, both of which, if they're destroyed, destroy the entire thing. So it's not that cheesy. Maybe. Well, on the upside, you can definitely destroy the turret when it's extended. It does act like a physical item, at least for shots, which is a big deal. That makes me a little bit more willing to use this idea. Still not sure, though, because the obvious way you do this properly and less cheesily is having, essentially, doors here which will open up, the turret goes through, but that would be insane because of that barrel length. I'm never going to dedicate that much space to the weapon. It's just not going to happen. So if I do it, it's going to be quite cheesy. But I will try and keep this space empty, even though you don't have to. Because once it's on the sub-object, you can literally build where the turret is. That's when all the cheesy stuff can come into play. You can essentially stack things together in the same physical space, which I'm not good at, and also don't really want to get good at, because I don't particularly like it all that much. It's just weird. It's just weird. Like me. This is going to upset some people, but I've decided I'm going to, for now, remove the railguns. I have saved them. I can always add them again later, so any suggestions with the pistons and everything else, very welcome in the comment section. But for now, with our current resources, I want to dedicate completely to missiles, the particle cannon, and torps. Those three weapons are going to be our main type. This also means the AI can be done a lot easier. With the railguns, the big issue is that seeing things from underwater with your detection system isn't that accurate, and you can have problems with that. Missiles, on the other hand, very simple, as they mostly have their own guidance. The particle cannon, I don't think I will ever let the AI touch, because it's going to be too expensive per shot. That's going to be purely for me. Oh! Oh my god! Okay, so that was our first test fire. Now, that was only a 200k ship, I think, or a little bit less. I can't quite remember, Steel Strider, but yeah, that'll work. It did, however, take 4 million energy. Definitely going to be a one-off during a fight, and maybe not for every single fight. Just saying. I just spent 30 minutes trying to figure out why the beam wasn't working correctly. It turns out there's a hidden limit of 1,000 meters worth of particle tubing. 1 kilometer. I had hit that, and it was saying that the lens was unsafe. I couldn't figure out why certain sections were disconnected. I kept on testing out different things until I noticed the perfect 1,000 meter size indicator. So that's something to know for the future. If you want one big pipe, 1 kilometer, maximum. Any above that and it starts disconnecting pieces of it. At least that's how it seems to be. Didn't know that, but I'm sure I've built bigger than that in the past. Maybe I haven't. Maybe I've done multiple tubing sections. But at least now I know. Only took half an hour of my life. So I've taken away the periscope from the periscope room, and I'm going to be re-adding the periscope over here later. For now, though, what we're focusing on is just making a more visible command section over here. Then we're going to have all the detection stuff on top. We're not going to need that good detection, but just some really basic stuff. So if we go to the AI, and we go to the detection components, we do have all the options here, but the main thing we're looking for here is these, the radars. By throwing these up into the air, they will float on the surface and let us see things above the water when we're under the water, so that the AI can actually do its thing, lock on, and try and fire things at it, which is mostly going to be missiles, so as long as we just know the vague direction they're at, that'll be fine. We'll add some other stuff as well, mostly for looks. A lot of this just simply doesn't work underwater, but we are going to have, of course, the sonars and everything else, so all of that is going to be located up here. Still loads more armor we can add to the weapon, and the very front is vulnerable, so I've put some heavy armor, but yeah, this section here, very vulnerable, but we can armor up here a lot, so it shouldn't be too bad. And then the missiles will go here and probably here. Currently this just has some RTGs in, so we can clear that out as well. It's already getting very light, and my speech is already degrading to levels which is worrying. Turned off the shaders just for a second, so I can see what I'm doing a bit easier. I'm trying to get a lot of armor around the particle cannon and also this section here, because there's going to be a lot of very vulnerable bits and very expensive bits and bobs, so trying to make that a little bit more protected. Also, it's weird without the shader, this armor turns kind of grey, whereas with the shaders, it's very, very dark. I suppose it is grey as well. Either way. So I'm going to mirror this top section down here. At the moment, it's basically all just exposed. That's going to provide about 2 layers of armor at its weakest point, and about 5 layers at its strongest, with an air gap to try and defend against heat. And to defend against Hesh, then I'll need a weaker armor in the very core. I'll do that anyway. That's what I'm doing with the AI, so I'll do that then. This is taking way longer than I expected, and also I've made this a bit too bit too prominent. Doesn't really blend, so I think I'll make this a bit smaller instead and just elongate it. I don't know how I did that face, by the way. That wasn't intentional. It stares into your soul. It knows that you didn't like the video yet, and it is rather upset. Okay, pitch control is back, now both at the back and the front. Roll control has been installed, so this thing can now sink and float with the best of them. This is taking so much longer than I expected. It wasn't going to be like a full renovation, but after looking at some of the stuff I've already built in this thing, it was built so in a rush because of the adventure mode, and I can't in all good conscience leave it. So, I've been doing this now for like 7 hours. It's just been building. Oh, my mind is melty. Much faster at rising and lowering now, with way more of our resources dedicated to movement. This thing should, in theory, be a lot better than its old version. I'm also tempted to change how we currently move up and down by instead having it set manually every time. So essentially you hold down the button and then it will change its default altitude to that new number, and then you just let go. At the moment it's set to 3 presets essentially, which is just above the water like this, just below the water, and then 200 meters below. I think it's looking okay, honestly. A bit bland, but looks okay. Although, still with the shaders off, it's going to look very different. I'm tempted to keep it white. Looks clean, which is a rare thing for my build. Feels bad doing this, but we're knocking down the periscope room for now. I will, and I promise this, I will get back to making this available as a first-person craft, but since we're going to be focusing on the AI so much right now, and I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to be doing the periscope stuff, I'm probably going to just keep this room, and the walkway, and the command room up here, next to the con tower, as the only thing, really, for the first-person stuff. The periscope room is just way too big. So I'm going to do... Oh, look how much mess I've made! It's just everything's been built so badly. I'm extending this, and we're going to have a lot of missiles. It's going to be just brute force. So loads of missiles there. We're going to add some torps soon. We should just about be able to afford this with the retrofit before we go into the next level of difficulty. So for the last few hours, I've just been basically testing out different design ideas, like a back section here, using the ducts, moving over to the larger propellers and maybe covering them. Obviously this is not going to stay because this looks pretty bad at the moment, but you get the general gist. Armoring up all around the turrets, the missiles, making sure everything is accessible by the player still, so we can go all the way here. The tower has been rounded off a bit more, though I think I'm going to move it slightly. It's a bit too on the front. Loads of extra movement stuff added, and loads of extra armor added. There's a lot of work been done, but a lot of work left, and my mind is already slipping away very quickly. This is a very weird build, and it's just a lot more different than I expected it to be when I first started. I think I've already said that, but probably hours ago, but for you, maybe only moments ago. Because that is the weirdness with editing videos. I kinda like that. Okay, so let's redo these next, I think. Or finish off the catwalk over here. I don't know. Trying to think how I could armor up around these, and I think we're probably just going to end up using mimics. Well, decorations, just because I can't see how I'm going to do this without blocking everything and getting it really clunky. So the only things I can think of which would work would be the jet controller sections. Sadly, Steam doesn't have anything. Or we could just go with the grates, though I don't think they would look particularly... well, great. The ducts. How the ducts kind of... No, I think it's almost certainly going to be the circles. Is there any other option? I'm trying to think of what the Scarlet Dawn uses. I know their subs have a circle in the back, because we've destroyed a couple of them throughout the adventure mode, but I can't think of what it is. Ooh, what do these look like? Obviously, we can scale them up. Okay, let's try out different ones of those. By Scarlet Dawn, I clearly meant to say Steel Striders. That looks okay, actually. So this is one of the small jets. I don't mind that. It's a bit complex on the outside, which looks a little bit weird now it's been scaled up. But actually, yeah, that works. So then the question is, which would be better, the smaller version or the larger? I mean, we could also do this, which doesn't have the extra bits on the side, but I kind of like them. I think maybe the larger ones would probably work a bit better just because they do start off so much larger. Let's just go with... Oop, that did not go well. Let's try that again. Wow, yeah, way too big. Let's get that back to how it was a second ago, shall we? Just Alt 2 for a second. There's not all that much difference. The colour scheme's a little bit different. We could do it like that, have those two as one and this one as another. Yeah, let's go with that. Now I'll just scale it properly. Okay, reattach the torps. These are significantly bigger than the last ones and a little bit faster. Should still be decently long range, and this time they are just explosive. Because I like explosives. Underwater seagull. So I've been building for the last few hours. Now I need a break and just need to reverse build some stuff, you know? Almost 1 million explosive damage there. This thing can take a hit. I mean, it does seem to be just armor, to be fair. Now with the torps, I do think they are way too clustered. Oh, definitely. They're going to blow each other up as soon as they hit. Incoming a lot of wasted damage. Still not terrible for fast, agile torps. But I think maybe either staggering them more or swapping them back to EMP might be the best idea. Now on 0.3 each rather than 0.1 delay. Better, but still, as you can see, one of them did get through off. Though it did make it in the end. Well done. I think I'll leave it like that for now. I love the idea of them being clustered like that. Not all of them are going to hit every time anyway, especially against very fast targets. I'll just leave it. Okay, so my recording software crashed without telling me. Normally gives me a warning, and I've just been speaking to myself like half an hour as I went completely insane and turned the sub into a spacecraft. None of that footage exists now. So there will be no context for this. Just know that over half an hour I made the sub into a spacecraft. It's fully functioning and it can also go back underwater. I'm going to leave it there so you can all suffer with my insanity as I now have to. And back to building the sub. Stupid sodding recording software. My mind has gone. Adding some stuff to the front and the back and the sides just to make it look a bit less like a stick. And yeah, I'm fairly happy with this kind of style. Going for more of a crystal style in some places for some reason, not quite sure what I'm doing there. What I want to do is have this blue section here kind of spill out of the sides eventually, but I am running out of resources to play with now. I still need to add the steam engines, I still need to completely arm up the top, still need to finish off the tower, and still need to add the AI. There's still so much to do. It has just turned into a complete renovation. I kind of like these though. Completely exposed, completely vulnerable, but it's the kind of thing I would add. Though I could, once again, go with the jets and make them at least look like they're meant to be there. Actually, that's not too bad, even before editing them. How about the other way around instead? They're like that. Doesn't really make much of a difference. Nope, not really, though I will quickly make them all the same direction, otherwise it'll drive me insane. No. Yes. You know, I quite like that. Yeah. He looks stupid. I like it. However, you may go a bit further back as well. Ooh, that's neat. And then we go on the smaller ones without even editing them. Nope, that would definitely need to be edited. Ooh, although, now I've said that, how about... Oh, I do like that. Yes, okay, we'll stick with that for now. You can tell why this build's taking me so long, because I'm looking at things like this. Just really simple, stupid, small things, and it's taking me ages. The sub now has AI. Ignore the fuel right now, just 'cause I'm messing around with things. So what it should be doing now is trying to circle around the target. This is just the default AI, just making sure it can actually use everything up on this thing, and it seems to be able to do that just fine. All the weapons are currently offline, though. So the only weapons I'd probably attach to the AI would, at the moment, just be the missiles, and that's it. When it eventually has other weapons, I'll definitely put those on as well. I just need to add some constraints so it knows when to fire. I also need to activate a radar system so it can see above the water at least a little bit, just so it can do this motion, just going around in circles, nice and steady. And that will allow me to do the whole cinematic thing, which I'll showcase when we're back in the adventure mode. Well, here's the cinematic camera anyway. Essentially, it allows you to focus on one part of the craft, and then go around it while still having all the other features active. So, there are the weapons. Oh, that is beautiful. Look at that. Yep, so happy with that set of weapons. So happy. Seems like they need to have a slightly longer delay, though, since I did see 2 of them get knocked away by the explosions. I mean, that's pretty brutal. Well, I am afraid to say I really am all out of time for today's video. This has actually been recorded over 3 or 4 days. As you can probably see with the autosave thing, it does say the dates. At 2 points I was recording like 3 AM-ish, at 2 points it was midday. I've been very sick over the last week. I had a horribly infected eye, which I've mentioned over on Twitter. There's been a lot of pain meds and other medications to finally get it under control. I'm all okay now, but it has made recording very sporadic. And because of that, I do need to just finish this video now. I will be finishing it off camera. I don't really need to do all that much, just need to do the tower, need to do this armor section here, and the steam boiler, and then reattach the distraction sticks. Once that's done, we are ready for the campaign with our new slightly larger torpedoes, our very nasty particle cannon, and our beautiful missiles, which I can very easily add more of later. So an easy upgrade, which I don't have to go into the designer mode for, or the blue portals, would just be add more missile, aka add more happiness. So with that, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed today's video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is a series you wish to see continued in the future. In the next episode, back in the adventure mode itself, and hopefully, detonating lots of things. Thank you, and goodbye.